Father, for the many, many months of planning and work where we know your presence has been with us. To culminate today and for the rest of the week in the proceedings that will take place. We are grateful for your protection for everyone that has made it to this convening. We are thankful to you, Lord, for our traditional leaders who are present, members of the government who are present, for our distinguished guests who are present, and for all the delegates who have been able to make it safely here today. We are asking, Lord, for your presence to be with us. We pray for your grace, for your love, for your protection over us, over the next few days, Lord, as we work, as we get to know each other, as we have some fun together, as we do the business of transforming the health of the peoples of this continent. We pray in a very special way that you will be present in every meeting, in everything that we do, and that your wisdom will guide us in everything that we do. We are grateful for all the partners that are presented here and for the amazing leadership that they present for this work that you have placed in our hands. And we ask that you will continue to lead and guide them. And we thank you also for the feet on the ground, for the people who are moving and shaping things on the ground. We are grateful to them. We commit this particular session into your hands, Lord, and ask that you will lead us and help us as we begin officially opening the convening of the 2024 Africa Health Collaborative. Thank you so much for the host, KNUST, and all of his leadership, and for the amazing preparations that they have done for us. We now invite your presence to be with us, and we ask these blessings, Lord, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
God bless the whole land, and make our nation great and strong. Hold to the faith forever, the cause of freedom and of right. Clear our hearts, be true, hear me. God bless the whole land, and make our nation great and strong. Hold to the faith forever, the cause of freedom and of right. Clear our hearts, be true, hear me. There is fearless mercy, and help us to resist the praises from with all the will and might forevermore. And help us to resist the praises from with all the will and might forevermore.
Thank you very much. You may resume your seats. Thank you so much. Let me welcome the representative of the Vice Chancellor of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Professor David Asamoah, who is now the new Pro Vice Chancellor of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, to deliver the welcome address. Thank you.
Mr. MC, and good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Nana Sampa, Nana Sampa Jafla II, the Minister of Health, Honorable Bernard Okoboy, Minister of Education, Honorable Yao Osei-Edichum, our keynote speaker, Professor Emerita Isabel Kwache, Executive Steering Committee Chair, Professor Ellis Osudabo, leaders of partner institutions of the African Health Collaborative, the Mastercard Foundation, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is both an honor and a privilege to welcome you to Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and to the second annual convening of the Africa Health Collaborative. The Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST, is extremely proud to host this year's event. I believe you will make time to see our beautiful campus and the garden city, Kumasi. Distinguished guests, we are here not just as representatives of various organizations, but as partners united by a common purpose, the improvement of health outcomes for all Africans. Our continent is rich in diversity, culture, and potential, yet we face significant health disparities that demand our collective attention and action. Ladies and gentlemen, over the next few days, we will engage in meaningful discussions, share innovative practices, and explore collaborative solutions. Together, we will focus on key areas such as maternal and child health, infectious disease control, mental health, and the integration of technology in healthcare delivery. We must leverage our strengths and learn from one another to create a healthier, more equitable future for our populations. This convening, I believe, is not just a gathering, it is a call to action. We must challenge ourselves to think critically, collaborate generously, and act decisively. As we share our successes and lessons learned, let us also remain open to new ideas and perspectives that can enhance our efforts. Let us leave no one behind, particularly the young people who are enriched with innovative ideas. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to our partners, organizers, and each of you for your commitment to this vital work. Your presence here today reflects your dedication to improving health in Africa, and together we can transform our vision into reality. Let us embrace this opportunity to inspire one another, to forge new partnerships, and to drive meaningful change. Together we can build a healthier Africa for generations to come. Thank you, and let's embark on this journey together. Akwaba.
Good morning. Morning, distinguished guests. The list is tall, but I think I need to do justice. Good morning, and I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Nana Samba. I'm not too good at my vernacular, I should be doing better. Nana Samba Jaffa, representing the Asantehene, Omahini of Sampa traditional area. I also acknowledge the Pro-VC of KNUST, Professor David Asamoah, and our own Minister of Health, Honorable Dr. Bernard Okuboi, and Deputy Minister of Education, Honorable Intim Fojo. And I think since I have a limited time, I'll say that I stand on existing protocols set up and all protocols observed. It is indeed a profound honor to stand before you today at the second convening of the Africa Health Collaborative, hosted by the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, with the support of the Mastercard Foundation. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Professor Ellis Owusu-Dabo, an old friend, the local organizing team, and all participants for this invitation. This year's theme, Nyansapo, Innovating Health Systems in Africa for Africa and the World, resonates deeply with my life's work and passion for public health, innovation, and community empowerment. I'll now just briefly go through my talk. Introduction, Africa's health challenges, collaborative power as exemplified by Mastercard Foundation and Nyansapo, local solutions, global impact, strengthening health systems, which is through community health workers, maternal and child health innovations, building resilient health systems for the future, and our collective path forward. So Nyansapo, it is a symbol of wisdom in Akan culture. It is an ideal guide as we chart a course for improving Africa's health systems. For decades, I have witnessed the power of local wisdom and global collaboration in solving Africa's health challenges, and I'm excited to share some of my journey with you. That is the journey of building human capital for strategic leadership in public health, innovative and thought leadership, leading to research capacity, knowledge translation, and knowledge sharing. My journey, so this is trying to understand Africa's health challenges. My journey in public health began in Ghana, where I attended Achimota School. Later, my academic and professional paths led me through the world of institutions such as the University of Surrey and the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, where I earned my PhD in immunoparasitology. But my passion for improving health systems always brought me back to Ghana. The challenges of our continent facing healthcare are vast and complex. Infectious diseases like malaria, HIV/AIDS, and tuberculosis, they remain significant burdens. Alongside these are non-communicable diseases, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases. These are all growing at alarming rates. These diseases place immense strain on our health systems, which are often hampered by under-resourced facilities, inadequate infrastructure, and a shortage of skilled healthcare professionals. Now, during my career, I've had the privilege to contribute to landmark research that helped shape the fight against malaria. Working with Professor Ruth Nussensweis in New York University and Dr. Louise Miller at the National Institutes of Health, our research on Plasmodium falciparum led to the cloning and sequencing of the first protein CSP of Plasmodium falciparum malaria. We developed the first synthetic vaccines and went to field trials, and we're continuously trying to polish off. And it's led to landmark research has led to the development of RTSS malaria vaccine, the world's first malaria vaccine. Now this vaccine is a testament to global African-led research, innovation, and collaboration, and has the potential to save millions of lives. Now the collaborative power, which is exemplified by Mastercard Foundation and Nyansapo. Today, collaboration remains essential in tackling these persistent health challenges. I have worked in research partnerships with eminent scientists and institutions worldwide, from the National Institutions of Health in the USA to the Pasteur Institute in France. I spent about 10 years in the National Institutes of Health and Georgetown, another 10 years in Georgetown University, and many others. However, I firmly believe that real change comes when we integrate local solutions with global support. Organizations like the Mastercard Foundation play a critical role in advancing inclusive healthcare and youth development. Their mission to create sustainable healthcare systems aligns perfectly with the Nyansapo approach, which seeks to empower African communities by blending traditional knowledge with modern healthcare solutions. Now, these partnerships, where governments, academic institutions, and international organizations work together, are vital. It was the philosophy of multi-sectoral collaboration that allowed me, in my role as the Foundation Dean of the University of Ghana School of Public Health, to develop academic and research capacity in public health across the continent. And the case in point is really the Ghana School of Public Health. It's a special case because at the time in 1994, the country needed public health practitioners to take care of diseases that are spreading. So they brought Professor Opemsuo to spearhead, because several attempts have been made to establish schools of public health. That hadn't worked. So Professor Opemsuo, what did he do? He actually brought practitioners from the field, practicing physicians, practicing OBGYs, practicing health policy, and put them all in and hold them in and establish the curriculum for what is now the School of Public Health at the University of Ghana. And he was supported by Dr. Wrapper, Kofi Asante. I mean, these are seasoned health. He brought them all together. It wasn't just academic, it was practicing. And this is where I joined as the group leader. But it started as the Schools of Public Health Without Walls. And when I joined, the notion was that all the public health schools have walls. You know, Hopkins, Harvard, Stanford. So why Schools of Public Health Without Walls? So our breakthrough, as I'm saying, international collaborations with intersectoral and government contributions came as one particular, I'll just cite one particular partnership which stands out. A 5-year partnership covering a period of 2003 to 2008. It was an agreement, Johns Hopkins University, and Gates Sr., his interest is in population and reproductive health, against his son, whose interest is in vaccine projects. Gates Sr. was interested in population and reproductive health. And he felt that the brain drain was because we weren't capacity building right. So he gave the Hopkins huge grant for them to go around developing countries, institutions, and identify institutions that can develop strategic programs that will build capacity in-house and keep capacity in-house and reduce the brain drain. So they went round, this was in charge of Amy Choi, Benny Gaya, and their team. So they went round Africa. And when they arrived in Ghana, I was then director. And my interest is immunology and malaria. But I managed to convince them that malaria impacts children, adults, humans, even the aging, and very much central to maternal health, reproductive health. So with that and our team at the School of Public Health, we got one of the funding. And a second group in Ghana. So Ghana got 2 of the agreements. One was University of Ghana. The second partners was at KNUST, headed by Professor Tsiri Agbonyiga. He also brought in line, Dr. Danso and Nilaye Brown, eminent. So this is where collaboration, government, and global partnerships get together and do something right. So the idea was, task us, bring in students, build capacity, policy, scholarship, education, publication, and set the system right so that people won't drift around. So it was to create a department of population, family, and reproductive health. In the process, in doing that, we had unitary system. We had population, we had social sciences, we had biostatistics, but we managed with our funding to create departments of all other departments. So we became a faculty in the process. So the funding that was to create population, family, and reproductive produced a faculty of the School of Public Health. And this was because of an excellent partnership from Johns Hopkins. So in the process, we built a critical mass of public health specialists. In fact, we're 30 years now, the School of Public Health. We built research and policy capacity. We developed and strengthened training, research, and policy networks at national, regional, and global levels. We supported the continuing professional and academic development of graduates at the School of Public Health and other health professions. The school is enhancing capacity for developing of young faculty and recruitment of new members to meet the demands of public health. Now, local solutions with global, let's go to the last. Local solutions with global impact. Thank you. Nyansapo's approach to healthcare is rooted in the idea that solutions must come from within our communities. Over the years, I've seen firsthand the importance of harnessing local knowledge and traditional medicine from my time working in the Cameroon, in the Ivory Coast, in MRC Gambia, research partnerships with healthcare leaders in Thailand, in Australia, advocating for integrating traditional healing practices into modern health systems. This integration fosters trust and ensures that health interventions are culturally sensitive. At the same time, we also recognized and implemented the role of technology in revolutionizing healthcare in Africa. We also recognized and brought online telemedicine and mobile health applications that are bridging the gap between rural communities and healthcare providers, especially in the areas where infrastructure is lacking. Through technology, we can ensure that even remote communities can access care. And that's my work in Cameroon, where we worked in remote communities, even in the pygmies in southwest of Cameroon. Now, this is where I felt like a giant amongst the pygmies for the first time in my life, looking at the impacts of malaria in pygmies in southwest Cameroon. And in Thailand, the logging of the forests led to massive generation of mosquito resistance to all insecticides. In fact, that was the beginning, because there was so much mosquito in the forest and people were just in there and they were taking in all the drugs, all the insecticide. So the initiation of mosquito-resistant, drug-resistant mosquitoes and drug-resistant parasites evolved from the forest fringe research, Thailand and Myanmar. That's old Burma. Now we move on to strengthening health systems through community health. Now, one of the most effective ways to strengthen our health systems is by empowering community health workers. These individuals are the unsung heroes of our healthcare networks. In my early work at Noguchi Memorial Research Institute of Health and across several projects at School of Public Health, I've seen the tremendous impact community health workers can have in underserved areas. Nyansapo's commitment to training community health workers ensures that they have the tools to provide essential care, from health education to disease prevention and even maternal care. Now, by investing in community health workers, we create a ripple effect of empowerment, allowing healthcare to reach people who would otherwise remain isolated. This approach builds resilient health systems that can meet the needs of communities across Africa. In one case, we've had several projects, but one that stands out is the funding from Clinton Health Access Initiative, where we set out to examine the accurate diagnostic, because if you can't diagnose a disease properly, how can you monitor it and even have a vaccine and monitor the efficacy of vaccine? So we set up 4 regional studies: Ashanti, Central Region, Greater Accra, and Northern. Ashanti, we were based in Agogo. That was our base. We trained community health nurses to follow children that are treated from Agogo Hospital into the communities over 3 months to monitor the efficacy of these drugs. And we did that for 4 years. So I've been around. And next is maternal and child health. The health of our mothers and children is the foundation upon which the future of Africa rests. During my tenure as the first female director of the University of Ghana School of Public Health, I led efforts to reduce maternal mortality and improve child health outcomes. And we established a field site at Opemsuo. Sounds rather romantic, but it's still sitting there. It's a long-term examining of malaria from pregnancy to aging, and it's still there. And we monitor the impacts of malaria there since 2000 3. This has been ongoing, and our presence is still there. And we built the place up, and it's now become a district health system. Yes. Today, Nyansapo builds on this work by expanding access to health, to skilled birth attendance, and improving immunization rates. It also empowers adolescents by providing them with the tools they need to make informed decisions about their sexual and reproductive health. I've always believed that when we invest in our women and children, we build healthier and more resilient societies. Another project we had was funded by the French Embassy to examine the intermittent preventive treatment of malaria in pregnancy that was established at the Ministry of Health. And we did this, the implementing strategy in Ghana, 2015 to 2017, to examine the components. And we used 2 communities, one in Pong Katamanso, and as a rural community, and the urban malaria Mamobi communities as a rural community. Now, building resilient health systems for the future. I'm happy we're all here, because during the global epidemic, we were all holding in our little corners, and we didn't know whether we'll come out the next day. But we all survived global COVID. So the global COVID-19 pandemic showed us the fragility of health systems worldwide. Not just Africa, but worldwide. In Africa, we learned that resilience must be built into our healthcare systems if we are to survive future crises. Throughout my career, whether in vaccine development or immunology, I have advocated for the importance of preparedness. Nyansapo is leading the charge in building healthcare infrastructure that is capable of withstanding future pandemics and emergencies. By investing in emergency preparedness, digital health platforms, and data management systems, we can ensure that Africa is equipped to respond rapidly and effectively to challenges ahead. Now, our collective path forward. As I conclude, I want to reflect on the essence of Nyansapo. It is more than just a symbol of wisdom. It is a call for collaboration, innovation, and shared responsibility. From my early years in research to my work in vaccine development and public health education, I have seen the transformative power of collaboration, and I've cited quite a few. The future of Africa's healthcare system will be defined by partnerships. Partnerships between governments, communities, healthcare providers, and international stakeholders. Together, we can build resilient, equitable health systems that not only serve Africa, but also contribute to global health advancement. Let us move forward with Nyansapo as our guiding principle, committed to improving health outcomes for all Africans and leaving lasting impact on health and global health. So my take-home message is that collective path forward. Nyansapo is more than a symbol. It is a call for a collaboration, innovation, and shared responsibility. Let us commit to improving health outcomes and making a lasting impact on global health. Now, I want to acknowledge my collaborators who are often my students, become collaborators, and become my friends. Professor Amos La, one of our shining lights, one of 70 PhD graduates of the School of Public now, and counting. And Conrad Buckle and Baki Ibrahim. I thank you all for listening.
So we have the representative of the Santehene Opemsuo Osei-Tutu II in the person of Nana Sampa Jafla. Is the Omahene of Sampa traditional area. Please come. We also have Professor David Asamoah, the new Pro-Vice Chancellor of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, who just got his first baptism, representing the Vice Chancellor, Professor Mrs. Rita Kosia-Dixon. Please clap for him. We also have Professor Ellis Osudabo, He is the chair, the executive steering committee for the Africa Health Collaborative. He's sitting right here. Professor Opemsuo. We have Professor Joe Wong, immediate past chair of the executive steering committee. He's here. We have Professor Christian Ejari, who is the provost of the College of Health Sciences, where this project is located. Then we have the Minister of Health, Honorable Dr. Bernard Oko-Boy is here with us. Welcome, sir. We have Honorable Professor Kingsley Nyakun, representing the Minister of Education, right here. He's also the Member of Parliament for Kwadaso. Welcome, or Akwaba. We have Emerita Professor Isabella Kwachi, who just gave us the keynote address. The Foundation Dean of the School of Public Health. We have Dr. Peter Meteru, who is the Chief Program Officer of the Mastercard Foundation, who are sponsoring this project. Then we have Dr. John Inkenganson, who is also the United States Special Representative for Global Health and Diplomacy. He is joining us virtually. We have the Deputy Executive Director, Christian Health Association of Ghana. And he's Dr. James Dria. We have Dr. Kwesi Asabre, Human Resource Director, Ministry of Health. He has always been with us everywhere we are having programs. Thank you so much. And as we move on, I will be introducing other dignitaries who are as the list comes. May I have your pleasure now to invite Professor Ellis Osudabo, the chair of the Africa Health Collaborative Steering Committee, to give us his remarks. Please welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Daniel Norris Bekwai, the university's relations officer. Please don't pay attention to the bag that I'm carrying. Just listen. I'm sure you're wondering why I'm carrying this. So I'm just going to give that. Yeah. Just to assure you that it's not carrying anything dangerous. Our esteemed Chancellor of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, represented by the Sampa Mahine Nana Samba Jafla II. We're delighted to have you here, Nana. Thank you so very much for coming. Our keynote esteemed Emerita Professor Isabella Kwachi, whose initiatives, some of which she touted a while ago, I profited as a young lecturer at the then Department of Community Health, School of Medical Sciences. We were appointed then to the Department of Community Health. And it's interesting to note that as one of the spiraled effects of the grant that she headed, the School of Public Health eventually became an offshoot, and the university conceived the idea of setting up a School of Public Health with Emichu and others at the time from Johns Hopkins, East Monotupri, myself, Neil I. Brown, and others who did this work. And I just like to say that we cherish you so much, and the immense work you've done in the past, from which some of us, have profited and are here today. The Honorable Minister of Health, Honorable Dr. Bernard Oko-Boy. He is a friend of Kwame Nkrumah University, an alumnus, of course, but pays particular attention to the woes of the Ashanti region, because this is where he got his first degree in medicine. The immediate past chair of the Africa Health Collaborative, my good friend, Professor Joseph Wong, who is also the Vice President International at the University of Toronto. The event organizing committee chair, Professor Christian Ajari, who has led a wonderful team that has done this extreme amount of work in the last 10 months. Professor Christian Ajari, Provost of College of Health Sciences. The Honorable Minister of Education, the Honorable Professor Kingsley Amwakon, I'm grateful to you, sir, for making time to be with us. Vice Chancellor, represented by my successor, Professor David Asamoah, and of course the management of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. I'm aware that the finance officer is here, and I hope that the registrar of the university is also here. The immediate past Vice Chancellor, Professor Kwesi Obridanso, I recognize your presence here, sir, and I thank you for coming. Excellency United States Special Representative for Global Health Diplomacy, the Chief Programs Officer and Representative of Mastercard Foundation, the Honorable Venerable Peter Matero, Vice President International, I've already recognized that National and Regional Directors of Health, Chair and members of the Executive Steering Committee, of course the Chair standing here, leads and members of Partner Institution of Africa Health Collaborative, young scholars, the voice in Eudora Saki, Nananum, distinguished guests, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is such a great honor to give a few remarks on such a memorable day as we host the second convening of the Africa Health Collaborative. Distinguished guests, I would like to begin by paying a glowing tribute to the Foundation Chair of the Executive Steering Committee, my good friend, Professor Joseph Wong, whose foundation thoughts has helped to shape the future of this collaborative. Of note, of course, is the Mastercard Foundation, who have worked hard to keep our eyes on the shared vision of the Africa Health Collaborative. Nana Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, a year ago when we met in Cape Town, we had only 2 members of the collaborative whose funds had been approved by the foundation. Today, the story is different. I'm happy to announce that funding has been approved for all collaborating institutions within the Health Collaborative, the most recent being Addis Ababa University. It is amazing how each institution has worked very hard to make an impact and to secure funds to ensure that the ideals of this shared collaborative are implemented. I believe that this will be the spirit in which we shall continue to work in the ensuing years. Ladies and gentlemen, as a strong advocate for collaborative research within the consortium, I would like to reiterate the relevance of thinking about how the Health Collaborative could advance healthcare in Africa through research. The Mastercard Foundation and the Executive Steering Committee have been very supportive of this initiative in building a resilient health ecosystem for Africa post-COVID, as we have heard from our keynote. We need to support our healthcare interventions with evidence from data that we generate. One way of doing this is to embed research into what we do within the collaborative. The Foundation has therefore given approval and support for the introduction of research as a key component of what we do within the 3 pillars of the Africa Health Collaborative: health employment, health ecosystem, and health entrepreneurship. Therefore, a Research and Publications Committee instituted by the ESC, the Executive Steering Committee, has worked very hard behind the scenes to ensure that we implement the ideals of research within the collaborative. Therefore, I'm both delighted and privileged to announce to you that very soon we will see the first call for collaborative research proposals from the Africa Health Collaborative. And institutions within the 5 countries are encouraged to apply and to do justice to strengthening health systems across countries on the continent. This will provide direction and focus, enabling researchers to channel their efforts in areas that will yield meaningful results and further improve Africa's health systems, supporting young Africa work concepts, and ensure that our youth have a future and a voice. In a world overflowing with information and potential research questions, a clear agenda helps us to navigate the complexities of research questions and consequential solutions that will help improve our health systems. Nana Chancellor, Honorable Ministers of State, before I get carried away about research within the collaborative, let me just say a few things about the Africa Health Collaborative and what we stand for. A couple of ideals and values that we believe in. So, for example, we believe in respect, reciprocity, ethics. We believe in ensuring that we listen to each other. So when we come around the table, we do not joke with listening to each other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, the other. We do not joke with listening to each other. When one speaks, often the result of collaborative efforts that come from groundbreaking medical research, innovative educational programs, and collaborative processes. Nana Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest strengths of collaboration lies in the diversity of perspectives that it brings. When individuals from different backgrounds, as we have in this collaborative, come together, share experiences and expertise, it definitely would yield a different flavor. And as it is said in our local language, proverb, and amdudowi and say and wine. To wit, when you have lots of fish meat in the soup, it doesn't spoil the soup. It only gives it a different flavor. And oftentimes, I can tell you from my own little experience that the flavor is good. This diversity fosters creativity and innovation, allowing us to approach the challenges of Africa and its health system from multiple angles. The solutions we develop in collaboration often reflect a broader understanding and a deeper insight into the issues at hand. The strong relationships we create as Africa Health Collaborative is an environment where open communication flourishes, enabling us to navigate challenges and celebrate successes together. No one institution is successful alone within the collaborative. At the Executive Steering Committee level, we have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. At the Executive Steering Committee level, we have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. When we are at the Executive Steering Committee level, we have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. When we are at the Executive Steering Committee level, we have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. When we are at the Executive Steering Committee level, we have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. When we are at the Executive Steering Committee level, we have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. When we are at the Executive Steering Committee level, we have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. When we are at the Executive Steering Committee level, we have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. When we are at the Executive Steering Committee level, we have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. When we are at the Executive Steering Committee level, we have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. When we are at the Executive Steering Committee level, we have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. When we are at the Executive Steering Committee level, we have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. We have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. We have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. We have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. We have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. We have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. We have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. We have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. We have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. We have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. We have always maintained that clarity Purpose is essential. We have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. We have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. We have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. We have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. We have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. We have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. We have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. We have always maintained that clarity of purpose is essential. 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 And the idea is that I want us to hold our hands together, hopefully because there's no COVID. And for those of you, this is an art symbol of unity. Let us lift our hands high. This moment symbolizes our unity, our collective strength, and commitment to the values that we share together as a collaborative. Together, we can create a stronger, more inclusive community and ensure that the ideals of this collaborative and beyond are achieved. Let's embrace this collaborative energy as we move forward with a purpose and determination and be guided by the words of Reid Hoffman. No matter how brilliant the strategy or idea, if you are playing a solo game, you will always lose to a team. And work as a team to advance Africa. Thank you very much.
Dr. Yukai Lambo to introduce the Chief Program Officer of the Mastercard Foundation.
So my role is to introduce the man on the screen, is the Chief Programs Officer of the Mastercard Foundation, a dear friend of KNUST, our host, and also a friend of all of the partners in the collaborative. Peter, allow me to try to just summarize for you all the things we have been doing in the past 2 days. But first, just to explain, in the room is full with enthusiastic people who are all here driven by the need to sort of strengthen the healthcare ecosystem within the African continent. Everyone has a sash, which Prof. Ellis has customized for everyone with their name. So we're all looking very vibrant and very beautiful, but ready to engage. Over the past few days, we have engaged in the Mela workshop, where we have worked with all of the pillar leads to understand ways of just working together, sharing ideas, refining the work that is around what it means to evaluate. As you always say, if you cannot measure it, you cannot manage it. And that work has already been established within this space. We also had a pitch venture session with young entrepreneurs, and we have investors in the room who are here to sort of provide mentorship and guidance on what it looks like to ensure that these young entrepreneurs are creating ventures that are going to change the face of Africa. And then this morning, we started with a host of meetings, a lot of side meetings, operationalizing how we will work together for the continuing of the year. We had a productive executive steering committee meeting where Prof. Ellis and the Secretariat shared all of the work that the collaborative has done to date And we're starting the convening very strong, excited, enthused. And so I'm going to hand over to you just to share your remarks, to provide us with some things to keep in mind as we're engaging for the rest of this week. Over to you, Peter.
Royal Majesty Dumfo Tutu II and his representatives led by Nana Sangpa Kyampla, the Asante Man Traditional Council, Honorable Minister of Health, and the Honorable Deputy Minister of Education, Vice Chancellor represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, the members of the KNUST Management Board, Professor Ellis and the KNUST senior staff, leadership and representatives of all collaborative partners, young leaders in the room, especially the young entrepreneurs that I understand are in the room, and the private sector leaders, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. First, thank you very much for inviting us to be part of this convening. And on behalf of the Mastercard Foundation, I extend a warm welcome to everyone participating in this year's convening. And I congratulate you for far you have come. I want to take this opportunity to specially extend a gratitude to His Royal Majesty, Dumfo Tutu II, for gracing this occasion with his presence and his representatives. And by extension, I want to thank him for lending his support to this partnership. Nana, we remain eternally grateful to you. My apologies for not being able to join you in person at this convening. I was at the last one in Cape Town, but this one I was not able to due to work commitments. But I would have loved to be there. I'm confident we will have an incredible time together, service of moving this critical work forward. My colleagues, Yukai, Kweku, Manuela, Angie are in the room, and they will be able to share some insights from our side as the discussions continue. Now, when we started co-creating this partnership in February of 2021, we asked ourselves one question, that if we could do one thing, and one thing only, to contribute to the transformation of health systems in Africa, to build more resilient health systems in Africa, what would that be? We started by looking at the size of the opportunity at hand. As many of you know, Africa has the world's youngest population, and in the coming decades, it will have the largest proportion of the world's labor force. Yet the continent has a significant shortage of skilled health workers. And I know from colleagues that currently Africa has only 2.2 health workers per 1,000 people compared to the global average of 6.6. And I understand that by 2030, this shortage, if not mitigated, is projected to reach a deficit of 6 million health workers. So the challenge is no doubt also contributing to the lower contribution of health to GDP, 5% on average in Africa compared to 10% globally. And when we put all this together, it was clear that we needed to act, and we did. Alongside our partners, led by the University of Toronto at that time, we believe that by investing in young people, we can address both the youth unemployment challenge and the global health worker shortage simultaneously. This is not just about filling vacancies. It is about creating pathways to dignified and fulfilling work. It is about equipping young people with the technical and soft skills they need to serve their communities, improve healthcare outcomes, and foster entrepreneurship in the health sector to catalyze prosperous futures for young women and men, their communities, their nations, and the entire continent. So the Africa Health Collaborative is a shared vision and a response to this opportunity to strengthen primary healthcare systems in Africa. It anchors our work to enable health workforce development and transition to work, entrepreneurship development, and innovation, and at the same time contribute to institutional strengthening and fostering robust networking and learning opportunities. At the Mastercard Foundation, this partnership aligns with our Young Africa World Strategy. Our bold ambition to enable 30 million young people in Africa, among them 21 million young women, to access work that is dignified and fulfilling. And I'm delighted to see that there has been significant progress since the last convening. Notably, officially onboarding the majority of the partners, and resources are beginning to flow, and seeing institutions collaboration emerging, institutional collaboration emerging. Progress in health workforce development and skills training has already started happening. And I understand that the program is supporting impactful health entrepreneurship ventures and innovations that are improving healthcare access across the continent. However, I also understand that there is still much to be done to truly drive transformation at scale. A transformation that is not only possible through individual institutions, but most importantly, through partnerships and the power that it brings. At the Mastercard Foundation, we are strong believers in the power of partnerships. We share recognition that no single entity or institution can fully address the disparities in Africa's health. Yet, a multifaceted approach, combining strategic investments and collaborative efforts among higher education institutions, national and local governments, innovators, healthcare providers, policymakers, private sector, and development actors provides an opportunity to contribute to enduring solutions for our continent and for its vibrant young women and men. What truly sets the Africa Health Collaborative apart is the resourcefulness of the partnership. I understand that in the room today, we have leading higher education institutions that are well positioned to advance the work in creating a robust and future-ready health ecosystem in Africa, due to their unique concentration of talent, their mission to train the leaders of the future, and to develop and leverage knowledge to create both global and locally contextualized solutions. We have powerful stakeholders and actors in our traditional leaders with their wisdom and cultural authority to galvanize entire communities to act in service of shared goals. And in our government officials and private sector leaders, fostering public-private partnerships to advance the work. And importantly, we have young women and men, the reason why we are all here today. They have shaped the development of this program, the architects of its success. By embarking on this journey together, we are collectively taking the first and most critical step to forging a resilient and sustainable health ecosystem in Africa. Together, we are stronger, better, and more effective. So a few concluding thoughts from me. As we commence these 3 days of connecting, reflecting, and strategizing for the next phase of this program. The first thing I'd like to say is I would like to reaffirm the commitment of the Mastercard Foundation to this collaboration. We are with you every step of the way. Let us continue to challenge ourselves and push the boundaries of what is possible. Secondly, as we deliberate on driving the work of this collaborative forward in the interest of the young women and men in our beloved continent, some of whom are in the room with us today, I urge you to create the opportunity to hear the thoughts of the young women and men on how we can move this work forward. In many ways, they already know the solutions. Let us walk alongside them. Thirdly, as we think through how we can collectively drive innovation in the health systems of our continent, let us reflect on the role of our institutions of higher learning and the role they will play in creating spaces for research in primary healthcare becoming incubators of innovation, and equipping graduates not only as employees, but also as job creators, capable of driving the next level of innovations in the sector. And lastly, let us reflect on how we build on the energy that we'll be experiencing by being together in the room, and reach out to those who need to be here but are not here today. How do we convene different stakeholders, policymakers, the private sector, and young innovators in the health space to create a truly resilient and thriving health ecosystem on the continent that can provide the care we need today, building strong integrated systems and a workforce prepared for the next pandemic and future shocks. Together, we are already on track to doing this. And it will need all our commitment, build trust, partnership, and unprecedented teamwork to succeed. I wish you all an impactful convening, and I look forward to hearing back on how we can advance this work forward together. Thank you very much.
Nana, with your permission, I'd like to invite one other member of ours who is still online, Dr. John Nkengansong, who is the United States Special Representative for Global Health and Diplomacy, to give us a brief comment before we proceed. Please.
Inviting me to be part of this very important convening, which is, I understand, the second annual Africa Health Collaborative Partnership Convening. And before I go into my slides, I have a few slides I've prepared, which are thought-provoking. I wanted to state up front my key message, which is that the universities and academia as a whole have an important role, a critical role, a pivotal role in transforming the health agenda of the continent. So if I ramble in course of my presentation, please just keep that in mind. And it also has a pivotal role in changing the narrative of the continent as a whole, not just for health, but as a whole. So let me ask for the first slide. So I wanted to go back to the 1980s and invite you to read the front covers of several influential magazines. In 1984, Time magazine described Africa as Africa's woes, and that was related to conflicts, coups, and corruption. In 1992, Time magazine characterized Africa on the front page as the agony of Africa. And you can see the picture at the bottom there, a child, where that is really a stressed child. In 2000, the Economist described Africa on the front page as the hopeless continent. Next slide. Then in 2011, the same magazine, The Economist, described Africa as the Africa rising. A year later, Time magazine also joined and described Africa as rising. In 2013, The Economist described Africa as aspiring. And in 2015, I think the Forbes magazine described Africa as the next Africa. An emerging continent becomes a global powerhouse. Next slide. The African Union has established a roadmap for the development of the continent, which they call the Agenda 2063. And it has 7 aspirations, and they are all interrelated. And I will not go through each of these, but suffice to say that the first aspiration is a prosperous Africa based on inclusive growth and sustainable development. That includes health. And you can actually sprinkle health across all 7 aspirations. Next slide. So this is where I believe the continent, the universities or academia must play a critical role in advancing the aspiration of Africa, that next giant that was described in the subsequently by other magazines, in 4 key areas. In areas of research, training, entrepreneurship, and service delivery. That is what the space that it offers for universities, and it's a space that African universities can truly create an impact. Next slide. If you look at the continent going forward, and to align with the last cover page of the magazine, I think that was for, in 2050, the population of the continent is estimated to be about 2.5 billion people, which means 1 in 5 or 1 in 4 people in the world at that time will be an African. I would like you to look at where the trajectory of the population growth for India, China, Europe, and South America. By the 2100, in Africa, probably that number would double in Africa. So again, the universities or academia would have to play a critical role in understanding the complexities that and opportunities that this population growth offers. Next slide. And as the population of the continent changes, so is the dynamics of the rural population and the urban population. It used to be that most Africans live in rural areas, but now, as you can see, by the year 2030 or 2050, most Africans will be living in urban centers. And I'll explain why that matters in healthcare very shortly. Next slide. So this is an important slide, and this is where universities or academia need to play a critical role. I've always believed that you have to take complex problems and keep them simple. The complexities of healthcare in Africa is just vast. It's a vast array of things that the continent deals with. But a way that we could help think through this is to divide that into 3 pockets. Emerging diseases, such as the Mpox, the Marburg, the Ebolas, and the COVID. The endemic diseases that include TB, HIV, and malaria, and the non-communicable diseases, including injuries, maternal child health, and other conditions. Non-communicable diseases like diabetes, hypertension, and cancer are on the rise. But if you look at those 3 pockets of challenges and you group them into a Venn diagram, then the space in between those 3 pockets that universities or the international partners have occupied that space for a while, universities, and rightfully so, rightfully so, the Hopkins, the Harvards, the Georgetown University, the Columbias have all, the University of Maryland, have all played a critical role in supporting the continent in that Venn diagram intersection. But again, this is an intersection that calls for African universities to play an increasing role, either in partnership with existing universities from outside the continent or independently from within the continent. Next slide. So if you look at the trajectory of how diseases have emerged, if you take one of those Venn diagrams, just the emerging diseases, just to focus on that for 1 second, since the continent achieved independence, many new diseases have emerged, from Zika to Ebola, Marburg, Mpox, we call it monkeypox, the HIV in the 1980s, the continuous cholera outbreaks, bubonic plagues, and the COVID and the measles outbreak and yellow fever continue to challenge the continent in a very, very significant way. Next slide. So let's look at the frequency of occurrence of some of these new viruses like Ebola. Ebola was recognized in DRC in 1976. Next slide. But since then, it took almost 20 years for the second episode of Ebola to be identified in DRC in 1995. And since then, between 1995 and 2007, it took just 12 years. And between 2007 and 2020, almost every year, you begin to see an episode of Ebola outbreak, especially in DRC and other parts of Africa. And if you recall the changing dynamics of the population, where the population in rural areas are becoming lesser and lesser, and we are concentrating more in capital cities, that explains some of the changing dynamics. And to explain that or substantiate that, in 2014, the continent was challenged with an Ebola outbreak episode or Ebola outbreak epidemic in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea. And for the first time, we were fighting Ebola in capital cities, which before then was always an exotic disease found in remote areas in Africa. Again, it speaks to the population growth, how the ecosystem that the continent finds itself is playing, the food insecurity, and other climate effects. Next slide. And this is a slide that we published, or a study that we published in Cell during my time at the Africa CDC. Just in 1 year, how many emerging infections were reported in Africa. Next slide. So what is the impact of that? Because again, as we look at health, it should be interrelated. The burden of communicable diseases, maternal child, neonatal, and nutritional diseases, they estimate in terms of disease burden is about 227 million years of health life lost per year due to these infectious diseases. And productivity is affected to the tune of over 800 billion lost per year because of all the diseases there. This is a study that was published by WHO. Next slide. So where do we go from here? I think you look at, again, these are issues that we all address. Health facilities, less than 50% of health facilities in member states, 55 member states are modern health facilities. The budgets are less than 10% of the GDPs. And in terms of healthcare workers, you have 2 healthcare workers per 1,000 healthcare workers per 1,000 in the Americas. Next slide. And in President Kagame stated this at the World Health Assembly in 2018, I believe. Slide, please. Yeah, where he essentially says the African health strategy that was launched at that time, adopted from the African Union in the context of Agenda 63, defines universal health coverage by 2030 as the continent's top strategic objective in this area. And it aligns with the Sustainable Development Goals, and that the only way to achieve the SDG was to make sure that the Agenda 63, which I started off the presentation by highlighting, is also fulfilled. Next slide. And President Kwame Nkrumah in 1963 stated this, and I would like to read this with you. It is clear that we must find an African solution to our problems, and that this can only be found in African unity. Divided we are weak. United Africa will become one of the greatest forces for good in the world. And I think this speaks to the need to have a very strong network of universities. I believe that the foundation to achieve what Kwame Nkrumah mentioned in Time magazine in 1953 is a network of strong African universities that can address the challenges that I indicated before. So as I move to my conclusion, next slide, let me offer some solutions. First of all, African universities must position themselves to be very practical in continuing to produce quality and competent workforce in the areas of doctors, laboratory experts, nurses, community healthcare workers, field epidemiology training program, and pharmaceutical manufacturing. It all starts at universities. Next slide. And this is an example of what the missing links are, what community health workers can do, and we cannot leave that to chance, and we cannot leave that to voluntary services in the community. In most of the outbreak investigations that the continent has been successful is because of a very strong community healthcare worker initiatives or efforts. Next slide. Next slide. But if you look at the map of Africa today, the picture on the left-hand side shows you how limited community healthcare workers are, actually the density. The African Union launched an initiative in 2017 where the goal was to recruit about 2 million community healthcare workers. I really don't know where they are in this effort, but that's an opportunity for partnership with universities to get that goal achieved. Next slide. If you look at their field epidemiology training program, it's also an opportunity, as the United States have done through the EIS program or the European have done through their European epidemiology training program overseen by the European CDC. And Africa CDC, I believe, launched a program called the African Epidemiology Training Program that needs to be supported. Next slide. And the slide you see here shows you the gaps. The red is what you currently have on the continent, and the gray is the gap. If you look at your frontline epidemiologists, you need about 25,000 on the continent. You only have trained about 5,000, so there's a clear gap of 20,000. In terms of field epidemiologists, to tackle the disease burden that you have, the continent has trained about 1,900, and there's a clear gap of about 4,100 that is required. And universities can step up and fill those gaps. Next slide. In terms of manufacturing, during the COVID pandemic, there was a lot of talk about manufacturing in Africa. And I will not go through this slide in detail, but just to show you the gaps that exist out there in terms of manufacturing, what the continent is importing and what is producing locally. Next slide. That's true for diagnostics, even more acute for diagnostics than for drugs. Next slide. So this is a slide that I would like to conclude with, where it shows clearly the areas that are required, in my view, that will be needed to address those syndemics that I indicated. The blue areas, that is, what can universities contribute in surveillance and diagnostics, health diplomacy and policy, communication and community engagement, ethics and social science, public health data analysis, including AI, emerging technologies, and research and development. That is what, with a clear area that appears in the intersection between the three pockets of syndemics that I indicated earlier. Next slide. So, as I conclude, let me leave you with this, that it requires a partnership framework. And this, I've struggled with this myself to produce a diagram that brings everything together, where it places the AU and countries, member states, at one corner of this framework. But it also speaks to the need to have a public foundation, like the Mastercard Foundation, the private sector, innovative hubs, and academia, all working together to have a transformative health agenda. That will be required to locally develop and produce solutions, generate knowledge, but also leading to patents and innovation. When I hear the conversation around technology transfer or intellectual property there, I wonder how that conversation is framed. And I wonder how the continent can be exporter of knowledge and not just importer of knowledge. Next slide. This is a network that you all are familiar with, supported by the Mastercard Foundation. I believe that it really shows what the power of what universities in the UK can do together to network, bring the different strengths they have to the table, but also bring the assets that they have where they can partner with African universities. Next slide, and that's my last slide. All of you participating in this conference can come together as a network and bring more universities together so that they can resolve those issues that I indicated and be the solution providers and innovative hubs that will help provide a foundation for Agenda 2063. Next slide. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can we do it better for him, please? I understand we have to increase the training of healthcare professionals, but I hope that when we train them, they will not all run to the developed countries, as they've been doing. Thank you so much. Nana Chancellor, I did promise my guests that I'm going to treat them to some cultural display because we are in the center of culture. And so permit me to invite Chedi Ampong, culture troupe, to give us some cultural display, some good music. Thank you so much. The dance you just witnessed is called the Phantom Front Dance by the Ashanti people. Nana, Chancellor, we have two ministers within us here who are our guests of honor. And I have your permission to first invite Honorable Professor Kingsley Nyakun, representing the Minister of Education, to give us a brief comment, and then we will have the Honorable Dr. Okoboy to cement that. Thank you. Please welcome.
Representative of His Royal Majesty Otumfuo Osedutu II, Nana Samba Jafra II, the Chief of Sampa, the Minister of Health, Honorable Bernard Okoboy, the Pro Vice Chancellor, KN University, Professor David Asamoah, Keynote Speaker, Professor Emerita Isabella Kwache, Executive Steering Committee Chair and Principal Investigator, Professor Alice Owusu-Dabo, partners of the Africa Health Collaborative, the Mastercard Foundation, leaders of partner institutions of the Africa Health Collaborative, distinguished guests, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you greetings from the Honorable Minister for Education, Dr. Yawose Aduchum, who is also the MP for Bosomtwe. It gives me the utmost pleasure to be here at this distinguished event. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Chair of the Executive Steering Committee and Principal Investigator of the Africa Health Collaborative for inviting me to this prestigious occasion. With a heart full of gratitude, I come before you to convey the Ministry's deepest appreciation to the organizers of this convening and to each of you assembled here. The Ministry has indeed taken notice of the significant strides made by the Africa Health Collaborative to increase the capacity of our healthcare professionals across the nation's health facilities. This impressive initiative cannot go unnoticed. Tana Chair, we say ayoko to the Principal Investigator and his entire team. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here, let us reflect on the pivotal role education plays in shaping the destiny of a nation. Ghana, with rich history and vibrant culture, has advanced significantly in education. However, to fully actualize our potential and compete on the global stage, we must invest in our youth and advance strategic partnerships. For decades, Ghana has demonstrated a steadfast commitment to education, recognizing its transformative power. Yet, despite remarkable interventions and programs by the Ministry of Education, challenges still persist. Limited resources, inadequate infrastructure, and funding constraints hinder our scholars' ability to excel. This is where the need for international cooperation becomes crucial to attaining the objective of giving every Ghanaian child access to quality education. And now, Chancellor, I would like to take this opportunity to express the Ministry's sincere gratitude to the Mastercard Foundation for their unwavering commitment to education in Ghana and their generous support for young entrepreneurs in Ghana. Through their visionary philanthropic spirit, the Mastercard Foundation has provided countless brilliant but needy students with life-changing opportunities to access quality education. Their support throughout these years has not only alleviated the financial burdens of deserving students, but has also empowered them to reach their full potentials. We are fully grateful to them for their invaluable contribution to the educational landscape of Ghana. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, despite the magnanimous contribution of Mastercard Foundation, And a great impact of these scholarship programs are the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program, the Africa Help Collaborative. There is still the need to call on foreign sponsors, philanthropists, and the private sector to establish additional scholarship programs of their own to complement the existing ones. This is a valuable opportunity for corporations to demonstrate their commitment to corporate social responsibility and invest in the future of the country. To conclude, ladies and gentlemen, let us all work together to invest in our young people and foster collaborations. By doing this, we can create a more equitable, inclusive, and prosperous nation. It is up to us to commit to scholarships to our brightest minds, forging strong partnerships, and empowering our youth to reach their potentials. Thank you for your attention, and may God bless us all and bless our country, Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Right, the Honorable Dr. Oko Boy, the Minister of Health, and the the aspiring candidate for Lejokuku constituency.
Thank you. I also came up with my bag. But we wouldn't do any exercise for now. In fact, I wanted to say that I've been around because I've been with the health sector for like 15 years. But after listening to Emeritus, I wouldn't say anything. Nana Chair, the Vice Chancellor, represented by the Province, the Honorable Minister for Education, his rep, my senior brother, Honorable Kingsley, the Mastercard Foundation, partners of the Africa Health Collaborative, Executive Steering Committee Chair of the Africa Health Collaborative, Prof. Ellis, Event Organizing Committee Chair, Professor Christian Ejari, heads of institutions, investors, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the opportunity to be part of such an important occasion. The Africa Health Collaborative has made a significant impact in Ghana's health sector within 2 years of its commencement. As a proud alumnus of KNUST, I'd rather be here today than any other place. So I'm very happy to be here with you. Nana Chancellor, over the decades, Ghana has made significant strides in healthcare. Even as we reflect on the pains of COVID-19, we can still thank COVID-19 for highlighting the gaps in our health system and underscoring the need for a resilient, responsive, and innovative health system. As a country, we have made strides in maternal and child health, with declining maternal mortality rates and increased immunization coverage. Ladies and gentlemen, the National Health Insurance Scheme has been a cornerstone of our healthcare system, and I'm proud to say that some wonderful innovations have solved some very significant problems. Just a few years ago, many people queue at the district offices of the National Health Insurance only to renew their membership. But today, with your mobile phone, when you dial *929#, you can renew your membership and visit your physician. You don't have to get in the vehicle and go anywhere. That is the power of innovation and technology. I'm also happy to say that with the My NHIS app on both iPhone and Android phones, you can register and become a member of the National Health Insurance Scheme on your phone using your Ghana card without going to any office. Previously, you had to necessarily go to the office physically to register. And I'm happy that thousands of Ghanaians have now registered in the comfort of their homes. That is access through technology. We have made substantial investments in healthcare infrastructure. with the construction and upgrading of health facilities across the country. And being in Ashanti region, it is very heartwarming to know that the old elephant at Convening, the structure 500 bed that was started by former President Achampon decades ago, over 40 years ago, this government has had the courage to pull that old structure down and start a new one at a cost of 138.5 million euros right here in the Ashanti region, 500 beds facility. We have to invest in healthcare, both the physical and the soft infrastructure, and I'm happy that this government is doing so. Our healthcare workforce is expanding with more trained professionals serving rural communities. Community health workers continue to play a pivotal role, reaching the most vulnerable and ensuring that no one is left behind. We recognize the dedication and hard work of our healthcare professionals, policymakers, and community members as well. Of course, we have to also recognize the role of the chiefs, queen mothers, and traditional authority. They are very key in getting collaboration and cooperation from our citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, the government has made significant investments in infrastructure and digital platforms to improve healthcare delivery across the country. Ghana has started a project referred to as the e-health project, where all hospitals use the same system in seeing patients. I'm happy to say that in most of our hospitals today, you don't have to wait 3, 4, 5 hours for them to find your folder. You only have to mention your ID number and you have access to your doctor. Technology is breaking a lot of barriers, and we're happy that the Africa Health Collaborative believes in innovation and technology. Migration of our health workers is a very important issue. And we must understand from the word go that today we are in a global world, we're in a global village. You cannot keep all your health workers. You also cannot sit for all to be shipped away. And so we are investing into programs that will help us to keep a significant portion of our health workers. We are investing in training programs, investing in specialization programs, so that many of our healthcare workers would stay. Recognizing that our healthcare workforce is our most valuable asset is a very, very important start. We have prioritized the training and retention of healthcare professionals across the country. Partnerships with educational institutions have led to increased enrollment in medical and nursing schools, while ongoing professional development programs ensure that our healthcare workers are equipped with the latest knowledge and skills. Ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here, it's crucial to recognize that non-communicable diseases are a growing public health crisis. They now account for a significant portion of morbidity and mortality in our country, posing a serious challenge to our healthcare system and economic development. Recent statistics indicate that NCDs contribute to over 40% of deaths in Ghana and to over 60% of the morbidity that we deal with. This alarming figure is a wake-up call for all of us. We are witnessing a shift in disease patterns due to urbanization, lifestyle changes, and dietary habits. I am glad that the Africa Health Collaborative has this at heart and is collaborating with various policymakers to find innovative and sustainable solutions to these emerging menaces. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy and excited that we in Africa have worked hard to be right at the heart of the development of the malaria vaccine. Prof. Emeritus and his colleagues and her colleagues, deserve a round of applause. So many vaccines have come from far, and we are happy that one has come from near. I'm particularly also excited because Professor Chiri Agbenyenga, my mentor and father, has been part of this project. He called me this morning and asked whether I'm coming. I said, I don't have any option. I'll be here. Ladies and gentlemen, we should not take the collaboration and support from the Mastercard Foundation and other partners for granted. Because as the MC said, beautiful things always start with money. And when money wins on the way, the beautiful project can look ugly. And so sustenance in funding is also key. And so it is my prayer that those who have started with us would go all the way with us till we get to the very end. In conclusion, innovating our health systems is not just a necessity. It is an opportunity to create a healthier, more equitable future for Ghana by embracing new ideas, leveraging technology, and working together. It is a good sight to see academia and those in practice working together. This has always been our wish as a government. This will be our wish in the future, and this will always remain our wish, because collaboration is at the heart of every achievement. I thank you very much, and may God bless us all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Bernard, Dr. Bernard Okuboy, Minister for Health. And I'd like to say that last year, or this year, I think last year, he also donated a very beautiful bus to the College of Health Sciences to move our clinical students to the various hospitals. And so he has always been very supportive. So the Lejokuku people should watch and support him, because we want good people to be in Parliament. Thank you so much. Take a brief comment from His Royal Majesty Opemsuo Tutu. The account say Nana Kasa, and it says Obian Kasabi. I don't know whether I've said it well, but it means when the king speaks, no one speaks again. And so we are going to take the last message from Opemsuo Tutu the second, the Rep. So kindly welcome all of you, please, with a round of applause. Standing ovation, please.
First of all, I've been asked by His Royal Highness Opemsuo Tutu to extend to you all his warmest greetings. I, on my part, am privileged and honored to be chosen by Opemsuo Tutu II to represent him at the second annual convening of the African Health Collaboration to deliver this speech on his behalf. Esteemed keynote speaker, Honorable Minister of Health, Honorable Deputy Minister of Education, the Vice Chancellor and Management of NUST, United States Special Representative for Global Health Diplomacy, Chief Program Officer and Representative of Mastercard Foundation, Vice President International, University of Toronto, National and Regional Directors of Health, Chair and members of the Executive Steering Committee, leads and members of partner institutions of the African Health Collaborative, young scholars and students representative of partner institutions, distinguished guests, friends from the media fraternity, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to Asante Mine. This week marks a very important week to Africa. Asante Mine is therefore happy to host such a great program on her soil. It is important because it is a program that seeks to unite to untie the knots of wisdom to propel our continent, Africa, to advance in diverse ways. Ladies and gentlemen, I've keenly followed the Mastercard Foundation and the impact it is making in Africa. As the Chancellor of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, I've heard of several impact stories emanating from scholars of the Mastercard Foundation. I've also seen what the Africa Health Collaborative has contributed to the health sector of Ghana in the space of 2 years. I'm delighted to know that primary healthcare workers are benefiting greatly from the Africa Health Collaborative. Congratulations to you all. This is what we want, impact. Ladies and gentlemen, knowing the relevance of education in building each sector of the Ghanaian economy, Africa and globally, I established the Opemsuo Educational Foundation after my installment 25 years ago. This educational fund was established to support educational development, particularly among underprivileged students in Ghana. The fund aims to provide financial assistance, scholarship, and resources to help deserving students pursuing their education. I'm glad to say that this initiative has benefited thousands of students. Ladies and gentlemen, just like the scholarship awarded through the African Health Collaborative, it is very motivating to see awardees of the Opemsuo Foundation alleviate the financial burden on families, thereby encouraging students to focus on their studies. In this sense, it looks like Asantuma is in synchronous with the Health Collaborative. Nyansapo, ladies and gentlemen, this word in the context of Africa Health Collaborative, I hope, embodies the interconnectedness of knowledge, experience, and values that guide us in our pursuit of health and well-being. Just as knots bind together, the wisdom we share and cultivate can create strong ties that support our communities and enhance health system. The importance of knowledge in health. First and foremost, knowledge is the foundation of effective health practices. As we advance in medicine and healthcare, we must recognize the importance of evidence-based knowledge. This means that our decisions, whether they involve individual health choices, public policy, or clinical practices, should be grounded in rigorous research and data. In our ever-evolving understanding of health, it is crucial to remain curious and open to new information. Pandemics have taught us invaluable lessons about the significance of scientific knowledge and the importance of disseminating accurate information. We must embrace a culture of learning, continually seeking knowledge to inform our practices and decisions. Lessons learned and knowledge we acquire from the recent COVID-19 pandemic should help us to build a more resilient health system. The wisdom of experience. Ladies and gentlemen, in addition to knowledge, we must value the wisdom that comes from experience. Our healthcare professionals carry with them years of practice and insights that are often just as important as formal education. This experimental wisdom can guide us in making sound decisions, especially in complex situations where textbook answers may fall short. Again, we saw this in the recent pandemic and continue to see this in particularly war-ravaged countries with health conditions. Furthermore, the experiences of patients themselves offer profound insight. Listening to patients and understanding their journeys can inform our approach to care. Their stories illuminate the human aspect of health and remind us that behind every statistic is a person with unique experiences and needs. Ladies and gentlemen, that is why His Royal Majesty is particular about the Hill Kofonochi project, a project that aims to significantly enhance healthcare delivery in the Ashanti region by investing in infrastructure, training, and community engagement. The project hopes to create a more resilient healthcare system that can better respond to the needs of the population. Ethical values and compassion. At the heart of the wisdom in healthcare delivery lies the commitment to ethical values and compassion. as we navigate the complexity of healthcare, be it through resource allocation, patient care, or policy making, we must remain steadfast in our dedication to equity and justice. Our decisions should reflect a commitment to well-being of all individuals, regardless of their background or circumstances. Compassion is a powerful force in health. It transforms the way we engage with patients and communities. When we approach our work with empathy, we're not only enhancing the patient experience, but also foster trust and cooperation. Importantly, it has been shown that it helps with the healing process. Compassionate care is a cornerstone of effective healthcare system, reinforcing the importance of human connection in healing, collaboration, the ties that bind us. As we consider the norms of wisdom, let us also recognize the strength of collaboration. No single individual or organization can address the myriads of health challenges confronting us globally. We must forge partnerships across sectors: government, academia, private industry, and civil society. This is why I'm excited to know that there are 10 partners involved in this collaborative, with the presence here today of triple helix of government, industry, and academia. By working together, we can leverage our best expertise and resources to create comprehensive solutions that improve health outcomes. In our pursuit of health equity, it is imperative to engage all actors, particularly our communities, in the decision-making process. Local voices must be heard, and their wisdom must inform the policies and programs that affect their lives. When communities are active participants in their health, we create stronger, more resilient system. Conclusion: weaving a healthier future. In conclusion, the knots of wisdom in health represent a rich tapestry of knowledge, experience, ethical values, and collaboration that we must weave together, just like the kente from Asantibine. As we move forward, let us commit to nurturing these knots, ensuring that they bind us together in our shared mission to promote health and well-being. Always be guided by your chosen common values and principles of the collaborative. This will continue to guide your path and illuminate all the dark areas along the way. Distinguished guests, let us embrace a culture of lifelong learning, value the experience of those we serve, out of compassion, and work collaboratively towards a healthier future for all. Together, we can strengthen the ties that unite us and create a legacy of health wisdom for generations to come. Enjoy the sight and sounds of the Garden City, Kumasi. I wish you a fruitful second annual convening. Asantiman Mamuakwaba. Thank you.
Huge round of applause for Nana. And I thank you so much for standing by KNUST every time, and thank you for taking keen interest in education. God richly bless you. All too soon, we have come to the end of the first session, and I'd like to thank all of you. But I will be inviting the Senior Director of International Relations, University of Toronto, Dr. Pinana Lam, to come and then do this properly. Please welcome him.
Wow, good morning and good afternoon. What an exceptional start of the 2024 convening. It's such a tremendous honor and privilege for me to be here today to give a vote of thanks. It's simply put, there just aren't enough words that are sufficient to fully express the gratitude in my heart and in the hearts of the many faces, happy faces that I see here this afternoon. Nana Samba Gifwa II, the representative of His Royal Majesty Opemsuo Osei Tutu II, and the 7 sub-chiefs in this room. From the moment we stepped foot at Kumasi, on Ashanti soil, right from the Prempeh International Airport, we were greeted with cheer, with chocolates, and welcomed with open arms. Today, you have graced us with your presence. And what an honor to have you at this convening, and for the encouraging, inspirational words you've offered this morning. We're on your land, and I can assure you that we are very committed to having a positive impact, working alongside our Ghanaian colleagues and KNUST under your leadership and the Ashanti Kingdom, that the impact we'll have through this ELV initiative will lead us even closer to those aspirations that we all aspire to in Africa. Medasi. The Pro Vice Chancellor, KNUST, Professor David Asamoah, and the entire KNUST management, thank you for your leadership. Back in 2022, when we visited, I had the honor of meeting Professor Rita, and she asked us what good news we had brought. And today we can say with confidence that the 10 partners in this room and the very many other ecosystem partners that have joined us, we've set out on a journey together to collaborate in enhancing the healthcare systems across Africa. And the KNUST chair in particular, Professor Ellis, you've shown us exceptional leadership on this journey. Professor Asamoah and the leadership, it's an honor to work with your exceptional team every day. Medasi. Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Bernard Okoye-Boye, and Honorable Deputy Minister of Education, Professor Kingsley Nyako. Being here means that we have the government's ear in critical matters that around health and education. And thanks for gracing us with your presence during this occasion, and for your leadership in these critical ministries. The Africa Health Collaborative needs your championship as we start on this bold vision of transforming Africa's primary healthcare systems, and we're counting on you as partners on this journey. The United States Senior Bureau Official for Global Health Security and Diplomacy, Dr. John Kengasong, you can still hear us. Your exceptional keynote address, Strengthening Primary Healthcare in Africa Post-COVID, has provided us with a framework that will continue to inspire discussions the next few days and over the months and years to come. Thank you for your leadership, particularly within the Africa CDC and your current work in the US and globally. We're striving towards the African aspirations that we share. Thank you. The Chief Programs Officer, Dr. Peter Materu, and representatives who are here from the Foundation, Yokai, Emmanuel, and many others. Your words and deeds continue to inspire and confirm the Foundation's unwavering commitment to this collaborative. You're always deep with us, and we thank you. And in the next few days, you'll be hearing stories of change that are already underway, and we look forward to sharing many more down the road. Thank you. Professor Ellis Owusu-Dabo and members of the Executive Steering Committee. Professor Ellis, your leadership in the last year in particular has been inspirational, and your positive spirit courageous. As chair, your vision has been clear and evident in this ceremony today. You've inspired us and given us new aspirations going forward. Medasi. Esteemed keynote speaker, Emerita, Professor Isabella Jai. Today, we stand on shoulders of giants like you. And you inspired us with your words, and your legacy in public health, I'm sure you can tell it's in good hands. Delegates from all the 10 health collaborative partners, distinguished guests, friends of the media fraternity, ladies and gentlemen, your presence, your time, your dedication to leave all the busy work and families behind and join us here today and throughout this week is very much appreciated. to the KNUST team and the event organizing committee in particular. What a phenomenal start this morning, and we look forward to the next few days. And what we just experienced in this opening ceremony leaves us all wanting for more this afternoon and the next 2 days. To each one of you, Akwaba, welcome, and Medasi. Thank you.
Let me kindly request you to rise for Nana and the team to move out first before.